You have breathing problems, you will struggle. The Center for Disease Control and Prevention warns that older adults are especially vulnerable at high elevations, experiencing fatigue, dizziness, and even hospitalization. Now steel yourself for the bureaucracy. Government procedures crawl at a painfully slow pace. Applying for a visa extension, opening a bank account, or sending a package. Prepare to stand in line, face long waits, and then wait some more. Here is the final blow. The sense of peace and spirituality you crave can vanish in an instant. Nepalese politics are unstable, strikes are frequent, protests erupt, power struggles loom. Human Rights Watch has warned of rising tensions and poor governance. Number 5, Bangladesh. Let's talk about poverty. According to the World Bank, more than 20% of the population still lives in extreme poverty. That poverty seeps into everything: roads, healthcare, housing. You'll see makeshift tin shacks next to highways crowded with rickshaws, buses, goats, and children dashing through moving traffic. And that traffic, it's not just bad, it's deadly. The World Health Organization reports over 20,000 road fatalities every year in Bangladesh, one of the highest rates in Asia. Traffic lights are often ignored. Drivers do not stop. Lanes? Optional. Want to cross the street? Close your eyes and hope for the best. Now add corruption to the mix. Officials expect bribes. Fast track services are available if you pay extra. From visas to hospital beds, money talks. Then there's the environment. Bangladesh is one of the most climate vulnerable countries in the world. Sea levels are rising. Floods and cyclones strike regularly. Even in the capital, Dhaka, streets stay waterlogged for days during the monsoon season. Infrastructure can't keep up. Drainage systems fail. Disease spreads quickly. What about pollution? It's a serious threat. Dhaka is ranked among the 3 most polluted cities on Earth multiple times. Breathing that air for prolonged periods increases your risk of asthma, heart disease, and stroke. Finally, the culture shock. Bangladesh is loud honking horns, shouting voices, constant motion. Personal space? Non-existent. Privacy? Rare. You'll be stared at, touched on the shoulder, followed, even questioned in the street. Not out of malice, but because foreigners remain a rarity outside of tourist zones. Number 4, Japan. Let's start with the culture shock. Japan is one of the safest and cleanest countries in the world. Absolutely. But emotionally, it is ice. Locals are polite but distant. Relationships take years to form. And if you are not Japanese, you will always be an outsider. Now here is something darker. Kuroshi. The literal meaning is death from overwork. Japan's work culture is so intense that people die from it. Heart attacks, suicide, exhaustion. In 2022, the Ministry of Health, Labor, and Welfare of Japan reported more than 200 official cases of kuroshi, but experts say the true number is much higher. Even when you are not working, that pressure seeps into society. It shapes how people behave. No one wants to rock the boat. Everyone follows the rules. Do not speak too loudly. Do not jaywalk. Never stand out. And yes, there is a stigma against foreigners. It is subtle, but real. Foreigners are often denied apartments, jobs, even entry into bars. A report from the Japan Legal Support Center found that 40% of landlords surveyed had refused to rent to foreigners. No matter how polite you are, if you are not Japanese, you will always be kept at arm's length. Want to strike up a conversation? Good luck. According to the English Proficiency Index by Education First, Fewer than 30% of Japanese adults speak conversational English. You will need to learn Japanese just to pick up a prescription or read a rental agreement. And then there is loneliness. Japan's population is aging rapidly. More than 29% of people are 65 or older. Yet the suicide rate among the elderly is rising. Why? Because even locals can feel invisible. Imagine moving across the world only to eat dinner alone every night. In a city of 13 million people, have you ever lived in any of the countries we've mentioned? Feel free to share your experience in the comments. And get ready, because next up is a tropical paradise full of scams, blackouts, and more than a few emotional pitfalls. Number 3. Filipino. Let us start with infrastructure. In the United States, you flip a switch and the lights stay on. In the Philippines, do not count on that. Outside major cities like Manila or Cebu, power outages are a regular occurrence. Sometimes they last a few minutes, sometimes they last several hours. According to the Philippine Department of Energy, power outages increased by 17% in rural areas just last year. What about the internet? You will have a signal until the monsoon season arrives, or an overloaded power plant trips offline, or for no reason at all, your Wi-Fi simply dies for half a day. Good luck keeping in touch with family or handling your banking online. Next up, the healthcare trap. Step outside the major cities, and you are completely
Well, the Wi-Fi
overwhelmed.
part is right.
Many clinics in rural regions lack basic equipment, and ambulance response times can stretch into hours. Then there is the safety factor. Some areas, especially in the South, are still experiencing political unrest and armed conflict. The United States Department of State regularly issues travel advisories for regions such as Mindanao due to terrorist threats and the risk of kidnapping. But hear the real shock. You are seen as a walking ATM. The local people are friendly, yes, but sometimes that friendliness hides an ulterior motive. A foreigner living on retirement savings is often the target of scams, fake romance schemes, and loans that are never repaid. It starts with charm, sir. You're so kind. Let me help you. You look younger than your years, and then request follow. A little cash for a sick aunt, help paying rent, a business opportunity. A woman you just met wants to marry you, and then her entire family moves in. It's not hard to imagine this happening every day. Number 2, United Arab Emirates. Let's start with the law, because you could be thrown in jail for simply tweeting. Criticize the government, insult a religion, even share a meme that offends someone? You are in danger. According to Human Rights Watch, the United Arab Emirates has imprisoned tens of foreign nationals under cybercrime laws for petty things like a Facebook post. Now let's talk about everyday life. Want to hold hands with your partner in public? Kiss on the cheek? That is illegal. The United Arab Emirates Criminal Code considers public displays of affection criminal acts. You could face fines, prison sentences, or even deportation for conduct that would not raise an eyebrow in the United States. And if you are part of the LGBTQ plus community, don't. Don't. The United States Department of State bluntly warns that homosexuality is a crime and can be punished by imprisonment or worse. No debate, no gray area. It is not tolerated. Then there is the work culture, and it is brutal. Local residents do not do the hard labor. Foreigners do. Construction workers toil in the heat of 120 degrees Fahrenheit. Service workers live 6 people to a room, and if something goes wrong, your employer can cancel your visa. The class divide is staggering. The upper floors are reserved for the elites. The bottom floor, that is where the laborers sweat. Behind the glitzy skyline, human rights abuses are well documented. A 2023 report by Amnesty International highlighted forced labor, withheld passports, and wage theft, especially affecting South Asian and African migrant workers. And if you are thinking, I am just here to relax, not to work, you are still not safe. Every hotel, rental property, phone, and bank account is under surveillance. Monitoring is built into the system. Number one, Singapore. Let us begin with the laws, because they are not only strict, but also very petty. Chewing gum in public? Illegal. Disposing of cigarette butts? Hefty fines. Jaywalking outside designated areas? That is a punishable offense. In 2023, the National Environment Agency of Singapore reported more than 13,000 fines for littering. That number includes both tourists and foreign residents. And speaking of intimidation, do not say the wrong thing. Criticizing the government, sharing offensive content online, even peaceful protests without a permit are illegal. Then there is the cost of living. Think New York level rents with tropical weather, sky high rent payments. Car prices are 4 to 5 times higher than in the United States because of the certificate of entitlement requirement. The Economist Intelligence Unit consistently ranks Singapore as one of the most expensive cities in the world. Now the big shock, surveillance. Facial recognition technology is active in public housing estates, taxis, shopping malls, and even public restrooms. In 2021, Singapore's Smart Nation Initiative announced the deployment of sensors and citywide monitoring tools to enhance efficiency and safety. That is code for comprehensive tracking. What about the lifestyle? Singapore is clean, yes, but it is also high pressure, fast paced, and emotionally cold. Locals grow up in a fiercely competitive system where success is literally a matter of survival. Mental health is a growing concern, even among Singaporeans. According to the Ministry of Health Singapore, cases of depression and anxiety are on the rise, especially among the elderly. In a place that moves as fast as this one, slowing down can make you feel like you are falling behind. If you found today's video interesting, don't hesitate to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. Your support is very important to us. Be sure to check out the next video appearing on your screen. If you're sure to love the content we bring, please leave a comment about which country you'd like us to explore next. Thank you for watching, and see you in the latest video. Thanks for being with us on this great journey. Leave your positive comments and like to help us. Remember to subscribe for more. See you soon.
Sandali lang! May malaking balita! Matagalan po ulam. May mahabang dito at may mas mahabang buwan at bayaran.
Ayoko maghintay ng matagal. Marami bang kinakailangan para mag-apply?
Napakasimple. Ilagay lang ngayon ang ating desisyon at maaari ito magkasuhan ng iyong limit at hanggang 50,000 pesos.
50,000 pesos agad-agad ang ipapahirap.
Ang mga gumagamit ng Android phone ay makakuha din niya ng mabawang stress at mahabang installment. Kaya pilitin nila i-download ang quick na. $1888. It was like planned and surveyed. 1889, they started construction on this. This connected America. Isn't this cool? That's Bear's Cat. Pretty sure. It's like Bear's Cat. The radio tower over there. But look at this weird little thing right here. What the heck is this? I can't tell if this was a train car. It kind of makes me think it was a train car. What the heck was this thing? It is a train car. Yeah, I think this is what this is. It's empty now. Well, I don't know, because that looks like electricity. And you see those like little insulators there? Or isolator things? And then there was gas, or propane. Maybe this wasn't a train car. But it's kind of weird that it's just out here next to these tracks. Let's get a look at it from far away. Yeah, that looks like it was some old signal of some sorts. Pretty cool. Red line. There's a bunch of old stuff along this. Those rocks almost look fake. Look at this. This is a switch. So when different trains are coming and going from the tunnel, isn't this cool? And then the signs are obviously for the passenger train that used to come through here. I mean, these aren't that old. This railroad shut down, I believe, in '79, and it's just up here because it's too jagged and there's too many cuts for freight. This was a passenger service line only. And look at this little spur line, little offshoot connecting it. Pretty cool. But yeah, old sign. Oh wow. Look at the old switch box. This is the old switcheroo. Hydraulics. I think it was mechanical actually. Mechanical and hydraulic. There's also something etched in this rock. You see it? Look how narrow this is. It's very narrow. This would have been passenger trains only. And then up here, you get this phenomenal view of the Butte Valley there, Silverbow Valley down here. This is a perfect time to hike this as well. Fall colors are really coming out. Look how gnarly this would have been for a train. Just to zip through here. Wow, that's cool. That's cool. That looks kind of old. I wonder if it was like a rail thing or something. Look back here. Oh, there's something down there. There's an old cabin. That's an old Northern Pacific train tunnel. That is wild. Let's check it out. That says very unstable stuff as I walked in. Look at this. Very unstable stuff fell as I walked in. Like birds. This old crate. Oh, that took a chunk out of it. That's what's right here. This is insane. You can tell it's starting to come on dirt. That's a wood beam that fell. That'd kill you. Yeah, it's like slowly coming out. This is big beams. Wood. Crazy. And that whole slab of granite crushed. This is pretty crazy. I can. And it's dark in here. Now look up here. You can see it right there. You can see colors through here. It's like a coyote. big one, if that's what that is.
We got a big one. So.
This is cool. It is so dark. So dark.
This was all done by hand. Dynamite in hand.
The old northern Pacific. Some deer have walked through here.
It's like a little haven for them.
That far back there. Track.
Shut down.
Ooh, this is a ladder going up there.
What the heck is that? The hell is that?
This one's very dangerous to walk through this side here.
Straight up top of me. Yeah. I don't think I'm gonna walk through this side. This side looks no good. Maybe not. Let's see. Yeah, look at all those timbers. It's insane. There's literally a hole on top of the mountain.
The buzz on my favorite song is playing in a Broadway bar. Then you walk in with a I never thought stepping off that plane soon would change my entire life. But sometimes fate has other plans. But looking back now, I realize that moment I walked through those glass doors was the beginning of the end of everything I thought. I knew about love. My name is David, and I'm a 48-year-old Canadian engineer. I come to the Philippines in March 2012 for a renewable energy conference. After 20 years in the oil industry, I was ready for something different. I just didn't know how different my life was about to become. The heat hit me like a wall when I walked out of Mactan Airport. Even at night, the tropical air was thick and humid. My taxi driver, a friendly guy named John, chatted about the beautiful beaches and kind people of Cebu as we drove through the city lights. "First time here, sir?" he asked, glancing at me in the rearview mirror. "Yeah," I said, watching the busy streets flash by. Street vendors, jeepneys honking, kids playing even at this late hour. It was so alive, so different from my quiet life. In Calgary, I checked into the Royal Palm Resort in RAQUEL. Nice place, clean rooms, professional staff. I was tired from the long flight, so I went straight to bed.
but I couldn't sleep. The excitement of being somewhere new, I guess. The next morning, I had my first meeting with local solar panel suppliers. That's when everything started to go wrong. Or maybe it started to go exactly according to someone else's plan. I returned to my room around noon, sweating from the heat and frustrated from a difficult negotiation. When I opened my door, I found water everywhere. The bathroom pipe had burst, soaking the carpet of my clothes. Sir, I'm so sorry. I turned to see a young woman in a housekeeping uniform rushing toward me. She had concerned eyes and moved quickly to help me. I fixed this right away, she said in clear English with a soft accent. My name is Carmen. I take care of this floor. Carmen looked to be in her late 20s, with long black hair tied back neatly. She wasn't trying to be glamorous like some of the other hotel staff I'd noticed. She seemed genuine, focused on actually solving my problem. Within an hour, she had maintenance fixing the pipe and housekeeping cleaning up the mess. She even arranged for my wet clothes to be cleaned for free. Thank you, I said as she finished checking that everything was dry. You really saved my day. She smiled shyly. It's my job, sir, but I'm glad I could help. There was something about her smile that made me pause. Not flirty or fake, just warm. I'm David, by the way, from Canada. Nice to meet you, Sir David. You're here for business? A conference about solar energy, pretty boring stuff. Oh no, not boring. Her eyes lit up. Clean energy is very important for the Philippines. We have so much sun here, but not enough solar power yet. I was surprised. Most hotel staff just made polite small talk, but Carmen actually seemed interested in what I did. Over the next few days, I kept running into her. She'd always greet me with that genuine smile, ask how my meetings went, even remember details from our previous conversations. How did the presentation go today? She asked on Thursday morning as I headed out. I was impressed she remembered. Actually, really well. The local government seems interested in our proposal. That's wonderful. Clean energy will help so many communities here. I found myself looking forward to these brief encounters. Carmen was different from anyone I'd met in a long time. She wasn't trying to impress me or get something from me. She just seemed real. On Friday evening, as my conference was winding down, I made a decision that would change everything. Carmen, I said as she was finishing her shift, would you like to have dinner? I mean, just as friends. You've been so kind this week. She looked surprised, maybe even a little worried. So, David, it's not really proper for hotel staff. Just as a thank you, I said quickly. Nothing inappropriate. There's a nice restaurant downstairs. She hesitated, then smiled. Okay, but just for a little while. That dinner lasted 3 hours. Carmen told me about growing up in a small town called Bohol, about moving to Cebu to work and support her family. She was the oldest of 4 children. Her father had died in a fishing accident when she was 16, so she had to grow up fast. I send money home every month, she explained. My mother takes care of my youngest brother. He's only 12. That's a lot of responsibility, I said. Family is everything here in the Philippines. We take care of each other. I told about my own life in Canada, my divorce 3 years earlier, my lonely apartment in Calgary, how work had become my whole world. Don't you get lonely? She asked. Sometimes, I admitted. That's part of why I took this job traveling there, to see if there's something else out there. When the evening ended, Carmen gave me her phone number. My idea, she said, though I could have sworn she suggested it. Walking back to my room that night, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Hope, excitement. Like maybe life had more to offer than just work in an empty apartment. I was supposed to fly back to Canada on Sunday. Instead, I extended my stay for another week. That was my first mistake. Or maybe it was exactly what someone was counting on. I told myself I was staying in Cebu to explore more business opportunities. That was partially true. But mostly, I wanted to spend more time with Carmen. She seemed as excited as I was. We started meeting every day after her work shift. She'd change out of her uniform into simple, clean clothes, usually jeans and a colourful blouse. Nothing fancy, but she always looked beautiful to me. Carmen showed me the real Cebu, not just the tourist spots, but local markets where she knew vendors by name, small restaurants where the food was amazing and cost almost nothing, and quiet. spots overlooking the city where we could talk for hours. This is my favorite place, he said one evening, as we sat on a bench at Temple of Leah, watching the sunset over the city. When I have problems, I come here to think. What kinds of problems, I asked. Her face grew serious. Money, mostly. It's always money. That's when I learned more about Carmen's situation. Her mother, Elena, had diabetes and needed expensive medication. Her 17-year-old sister, Rosa, was smart enough for college, but couldn't afford tuition. The house they rented had a leaking roof that the landlord refused to fix. I worked 2 jobs, Carmen said quietly. A hotel during the day, and I clean offices at night. But it's still not enough. My heart went out to her. Here was someone working so hard, caring for the whole family, never complaining. It reminded me of my own mother, who raised 4 kids after my father left. How much does your mother's medicine cost? I asked. About 5,000 pesos a month. That's maybe $125 in your money, but that's half my salary at the hotel. Without thinking, I pulled out my wallet. Let me help. Carmen's eyes widened. No, David, I can't take your money. It's not a big deal, I said. Seriously, I spend more than that on coffee in a month. She shook her head firmly. No, I told you about my problems, but not to ask for money. That's not why I'm spending time with you. It took me 20 minutes to convince her to accept the money. Even then, she insisted it was a loan. I'll pay you back, she promised. Every peso. That night, lying in my hotel bed, I felt something I hadn't experienced in years. I felt needed, important, like I was making a real difference in someone's life. Over the next week, our relationship deepened. Carmen was easy to talk to, genuinely interested in my stories about Canada and my work. She taught me basic Filipino words, kumusta for hello, salamat for thank you, mahal kita. Well, she said she'd teach me that one later. But there were moments that should have made me pause, like when her phone would ring and she'd step away to answer, always, coming back looking stressed. Or how she always seemed to know exactly where I'd be in the hotel, even when I hadn't told her my plans. One evening, I saw her talking to a man outside the hotel. When I asked about it, she said it was her cousin Miguel, but she seemed nervous. Is everything okay? I asked. Yes, of course. Miguel he worries about me. Having dinner with a foreign man. Are you uncomfortable? You don't have to. No, she said quickly. I want to spend time with you, David. Miguel is just protective. I accepted her explanation. I wouldn't have. I was falling in love. By the end of my second week, Carmen's family crisis had escalated. Her mother needed to go to the hospital for blood sugar complications. The medical bills were overwhelming. I don't know what to do with Carmen cried as we sat in a quiet cafe. The hospital wants 50,000 pesos up front. That's more than I made in 6 months. Seeing her tears broke my heart. Without hesitation, I offered to help. This time, Carmen didn't refuse as strongly. David, that's too much money. It's not about money, I said. It's about your mother's health. Family is everything, right? That's what you taught me. I transferred the money that same day. Carmen hugged me so tightly, whispering Salama over and over in my ear. That night, she stayed in my hotel room for the first time. Nothing inappropriate happened. She slept on the couch, but having her there felt right. Like we were already a family. I think I've fallen in love with you, I whispered in the darkness. Mahal kita, she whispered back. That's what I was going to teach you. It means I love you. My heart soared. For the first time since my divorce, I felt complete. I extended my stay another 2 weeks, then another. My boss in Calgary was getting impatient, but I didn't care. I found something more important than work. Carmen introduced me to her family during my 4th week in Cebu. We took a ferry to Bohol to visit her hometown. The poverty was shocking. Dirt roads, houses made of scrap wood and metal, kids playing in muddy streets. But Elena, Carmen's mother, welcomed me like a son. She was a thin woman with kind eyes, clearly still recovering from her hospital stay. Thank you for helping us, she said in broken English, holding my hands. Carmen is a good girl, you are a good man. The house was tiny, 2 rooms for 6 people. The roof leaked in places. Rosa, Carmen's sister, was beautiful and obviously intelligent. but she had to quit school to help with expenses. She wanted to study engineering, Carmen told me privately. Like you, but college is too expensive. My heart ached for her. Here I was, making more in a month than they made in a year. I was complaining about being lonely. That weekend, I decided to do something about it. How much would it cost to fix the roof? I asked Carmen on our ferry ride back to Cebu. David, now you've already done so much. How much? Maybe 30,000 pesos. But and Rose's tuition? David, please, I want to help you. Give me something priceless. You've made me feel alive again. Let me give something back. By the time we returned to Cebu, I committed to fixing the roof, paying Rose's first year of college tuition, and helping with Elena's ongoing medical expenses. Carmen cried again, but this time there were tears of joy. You're like an angel, she said. God sent you to save my family. I felt like a hero. For the first time in years, my money was doing something meaningful. I wasn't just accumulating wealth, I was changing lives. But as I would learn much later, I wasn't the hero of this story. I was something much more dangerous. I was the mark. And Carmen was very, very good at her job. 2 months into my extended stay in the Philippines, I'd fallen completely under Carmen's spell. What had started as helping with medical bills had grown into something much bigger. Every few days brought a new crisis, each with its own price tag. The roof repair led to discovering termite damage. Rose's tuition was just the beginning. She needed books, a laptop, boarding fees. Elena's diabetes medication worked, but now she needed physical therapy. I feel so bad asking for help, Carmen would say, tears in her eyes. But you're the only person who can save my family. Each time, I told myself this would be the last time. Each time I was wrong. My friends back in Calgary started asking questions. My business partner, Mike, called me one Tuesday evening. Dave, what the hell are you doing down there? You've been gone 3 months. Our clients are asking where you are. I'm exploring new opportunities, I said, which wasn't entirely a lie. I've been meeting with more solar energy companies, even if my heart wasn't really in it anymore. Opportunities are opportunity, Mike asked, because Jenny from accounting said you've been sending a lot of money transfers to the Philippines. I got defensive. It's my money, Mike. I know, buddy. Look, I've heard stories about Western guys getting taken advantage of over there. Just be careful. Carmen's not like that, I snapped. You don't know her, but Mike's words stuck with me. That night, I found myself studying Carmen more carefully. Was she really as genuine as she seemed? The doubts lasted about 5 minutes. That's how long it took for Carmen to text me a photo of Rosa in her new college uniform, beaming with pride. My sister says thank you, the message read. She's going to be an engineer like you. Because of your kindness, our family has hope again. How could I doubt someone who was just trying to help her family? The turning point came during my 4th month in Cebu. I was running out of reasons to stay, and Carmen knew it. I have something to tell you, she said one evening as we walked along Lava on the beach. My heart stopped. Was she ending things? I'm pregnant. Chapter 10. World tilted. Are you sure? She nodded, pulling out a pregnancy test. I was scared to tell you. I know you have to go back to Canada soon. I stared at the test, emotions flooding through. Fear, excitement, panic, joy. Everything. At once. This changes everything, I said. I know. And I understand if this is too much. No, I said firmly. No, Carmen. If you're carrying my child, then we figure this out together. That night we talked until sunrise. Carmen was worried about raising a child in the Philippines without proper health care or education opportunities. I shared her concerns. What if you came to Canada, I suggested. We could get married, start fresh there. Carmen's eyes widened. You would do that? For me? I love you, I said, and I already love our baby. The proposal was spontaneous, romantic. Perfect. Carmen said yes through happy tears, but getting married in the Philippines, I learned, was complicated, especially for foreigners. There are many requirements, Carmen explained. Papers from your government, translations, fees, and my family that they'll want a proper ceremony. The proper ceremony turned out to be expensive, very expensive. Carmen's uncle Roberto appeared seemingly out of nowhere to help with the wedding planning. He was a serious man in his 50s who spoke in dollar amounts. In Filipino culture, he explained over dinner, the groom must show he can provide for the bride. This is demonstrated through the dowry and wedding expenses. How much are we talking about? I asked. Roberto smiled. For a good family like Carmen's, and for a successful man like you, the dowry should be 800,000 pesos, about $20,000 in your currency. I nearly choked on my beer. $20,000. It shows respect, Carmen said quickly. It proves you're serious about taking care of me. My savings account was already hurting from all the family emergencies, but I couldn't back down now. Carmen was carrying my child. I paid the dowry. The wedding planning spiraled from there. Carmen wanted everything to be perfect. Flowers, catering, a traditional Filipino band, new clothes for her entire extended family. This is the most important day of my life, she said, when I hesitated at another expense. Please don't let money ruin our happiness. The wedding day arrived in a blur of activity. The ceremony was beautiful, held at a historic church in Cebu City with about 200 guests, most of whom I'd never met. During the reception, I noticed something odd. Many of Carmen's relatives kept taking photos, but not of Carmen. They were taking pictures of me. When I mentioned it to Carmen, she laughed it off. They'd never seen a Canadian before, she said. You're like a celebrity to them. But something felt wrong. During the speeches, Carmen's family kept referring to me as our rich Canadian brother and talking about how I would take care of Carmen and help the whole family. Nobody talked about love. That night, as we settled into our honeymoon suite, I tried to push away my doubts. Carmen was my wife now. We were going to have a baby. This was supposed to be the happiest night of my life. So why did I feel like I just signed a contract instead of marrying the woman I loved? My phone buzzed with a text from Mike. Saw the wedding photos on Facebook. Hope you know what you're doing, buddy. I turned off my phone and held Carmen close. Of course I knew what I was doing. I was building a life with the woman I loved, wasn't I? Married life with Carmen started sweet, but quickly turned complicated. We moved into a nicer apartment in Cebu. Nothing fancy, but better than the hotel. Carmen quit her job at the resort, which made sense since she was pregnant, and we were planning to move to Canada eventually. But without her income, the financial pressure on me intensified. My family is struggling again, Carmen said one morning about a week after our wedding. Rosa needs money for her second semester, and Mama's medicine is running low. I sighed, pulling out my phone to check my bank balance. The wedding had wiped out most of my savings, and I was starting to rely on credit cards. How much, I asked. Maybe 40,000 pesos? I know it's a lot. It was a lot. About $1,000. But what choice did I have? They were my family now too. This became my routine. Every few days, Carmen would approach me with another family emergency. Each time she'd apologize profusely and promise it was the last time. Each time I'd transfer the money. But I started noticing things. Like how Carmen always seemed to know exactly how much money I had in my accounts, even though I'd never told her. Or how she'd get mysterious phone calls that she'd always take in private. Who was that? I'd ask when she returned from these conversations. Just Rosa, she'd say. Or Elena. Or Miguel. Always family. Always some new problem. One evening, I decided to surprise Carmen by visiting her family's house in Bohol unannounced. I took the ferry without telling her, planning to show up with groceries and maybe take everyone out for dinner. But when I arrived at the house, Elena seemed confused to see me. David, what are you doing here? She asked in English, better than I'd heard her speak before. I wanted to surprise everyone. Is Carmen here? Elena looked uncomfortable. Carmen? No, she's in Cebu. With you. Right, but I thought. Never mind, how are you feeling? How's the medicine working? Elena looked confused again. Medicine? Yes, good, thank you. But she looked perfectly healthy to me. Not like someone who'd been in the hospital for diabetes complications just weeks earlier. Rosa came out of the house also looking surprised to see me. She was wearing expensive-looking clothes and carrying a brand new iPhone. Rosa, how's college going? I asked. She glanced at her mother nervously. College? Oh, yes. Very good. Thank you for helping. Getting Carmen to Canada took 6 months, and nearly $15,000 in visa fees, plane tickets, and legal expenses. By the time we landed in Calgary, I was borrowing money from my business partner just to pay rent. But I was hopeful. Surely in Canada, away from her family's constant emergencies, we could build a real life together. Carmen hated Calgary from day one. It's so cold, she complained in July. And boring. Where are all the people? I enrolled her in English classes and helped her apply for jobs, but she seemed more interested in exploring the shopping malls than finding work. I need time to adjust, she'd say, when I asked about job applications. This is all so different. From home. Within weeks, the financial requests started again. Now it was for winter clothes, a better phone to stay in touch with her family, English tutoring that was supposedly better than the free government classes. But the real problem started when Carmen began making friends. She connected with other Filipino immigrants through social media and started spending more and more time with them. At first, I was happy she was making friends. Then I noticed she was coming home later and later, sometimes not until 2 or 3 a.m. We were just talking, she'd say when I asked where she'd been. These people understand what it's like to be far from home. Carmen also became secretive about money. She'd ask for cash for groceries or bus fare, but I'd find expensive makeup and clothes hidden in our closet. They were on sale, she'd explain. I'm trying to look professional for job interviews. But there were no job interviews. When I checked with the employment agency she claimed to be working with, they had no record of her. The breaking point came 4 months after arriving in Canada. I discovered Carmen had opened a credit card in my name without telling me. It was for emergencies, she said when I confronted her. The application said I could include household income. Carmen, that's fraud. You forged my signature. I'm your wife. What's yours is mine, right? Not like this. You can't just... You're so selfish, she screamed. I gave up everything to come to this frozen wasteland with you, and you won't even trust me with money. This wasn't the gentle, grateful woman I married. This was someone I didn't recognize. That night, Carmen didn't come home at all. When she finally returned the next evening, she was wearing new clothes and carrying shopping bags. Where were you? I asked. With friends, people who actually care about me. Carmen, we need to talk about money. I'm in serious debt. We need to budget. Maybe you need to find work. I'm pregnant, remember? I can't work in my condition. But we both knew she wasn't pregnant. We'd been in Canada for 4 months. If she'd been pregnant when we got married, she'd be showing by now. The lies were piling up so high I could barely see over them. I started investigating. I called the resort in Cebu where Carmen claimed to have worked. Carmen Santos, the manager, said when I described her. No, she never worked here. She used to hang around the hotel talking to foreign guests, but she wasn't staff. My blood went cold. Everything, absolutely everything, had been a lie from the very beginning. I hired a private investigator in the Philippines. What he found destroyed what was left of my faith in humanity. Carmen wasn't from a poor family in Nepal. She was from a middle-class family in Cebu City. Her mother, Eleanor, wasn't diabetic. She was perfectly healthy and working as a school administrator. Rosa wasn't struggling to afford college. She graduated 2 years earlier and was working as a nurse. The family emergencies I'd been paying for, they were old problems that had been solved years ago, recycled to extract money from foreign. Men Carmen had done this before, at least 3 times that the investigator could confirm. She'd married Western men, drained their bank accounts, then disappeared. The investigator sent me photos of Carmen with other men, a German businessman, an American retiree, an Australian engineer. All of them looking happy and in love, just like I had. All of them probably broke now, just like me. When I confronted Carmen with the evidence, she didn't even try to deny it. You were so easy, she said with a cold smile. So desperate to be needed. You practically threw money at me. I loved you, I whispered. You loved an idea of me. A poor little Filipino girl who needed saving. You never bothered to find out who I really was. And the pregnancy? Carmen laughed. The There was never any pregnancy, David, just another story to keep me hooked. I felt like I'd been hit by a truck. 3 years of my life, gone. My savings, gone. My trust in people, shattered. I want you out, I said quietly. Fine, but I'm not leaving empty-handed. I know my rights as your spouse. Carmen had researched Canadian marriage laws thoroughly. She was entitled to spousal support, especially since she'd given up her career to come to Canada. The divorce process was brutal. Carmen hired an expensive lawyer and painted herself as the victim, a young woman who'd been brought to Canada under false pretenses and then abandoned. She won a settlement of $50,000 plus monthly support payments. As I watched her walk away, from the courthouse designer purse over her shoulder and a satisfied smirk on her face, I realized something. I wasn't her first victim, and I probably wouldn't be her last. Carmen had turned heartbreak into a business model, and I'd been the perfect customer. The months after Carmen left were the darkest of my life. I'd lost more than money. I'd lost my ability to trust, to hope, to believe in love. I was nearly bankrupt. My business partnership with Mike was strained because I'd been distracted and unreliable for over 2 years. My family relationships had suffered because I'd been defensive and distant whenever anyone questioned my marriage. Some nights, lying alone in my empty Calgary apartment, I wondered if I'd ever recover. But slowly, painfully, I began to rebuild. The first step was financial. I sold my car, moved to a smaller apartment, and took on extra consulting work. Every dollar I saved felt like reclaiming a piece of my dignity. The second step was emotional. I started seeing a therapist who specialized in financial and emotional abuse. It was hard to accept that I'd been a victim, but Dr. Martinez helped me understand the psychology of what had happened. Predators like Carmen are experts at reading people, she explained. They identify what you need. In your case, freedom, needed and important, and they provide just enough of that to keep you hooked. But I should have seen signs, I said. I'm not stupid. Intelligence has nothing to do with it. Lonely, successful men are actually ideal targets because they have resources and they want to help. Your generosity wasn't a weakness, David. Carmen just recognized it. Understanding the manipulation helped, but forgiveness of myself and even of Carmen took much longer. I also started connecting with other men who'd been through similar experiences. There was a support group that met monthly, and I was shocked to learn how common these romance scams were. The shame is the worst part, said Robert, a retired teacher who lost his pension to a woman from Ukraine. You feel so stupid, so humiliated. But we're not stupid, added James, who'd been scammed by someone claiming to be from Nigeria. We're human beings who wanted to love and be loved. There's nothing wrong with that. These conversations helped me realize I wasn't alone. Carmen and women like her were running organized operations, targeting vulnerable men with sophisticated psychological manipulation. 2 years after my divorce, I did something that surprised even me. I contacted the investigator I'd hired in the Philippines. I want to know about her other victims, I said. Maybe we can help each other. What I learned was disturbing. Carmen was part of a larger network of women who shared information about potential targets. They had databases of foreign men, complete with financial information and psychological profiles. But more importantly, I learned that Carmen was still active. She moved on to victim number 5, a lonely widow from New Zealand who was already sending her thousands of dollars for family emergencies. This time, I decided to act. Working with the investigator and one of Carmen's previous victims, the Australian engineer named Thomas, we put together a comprehensive dossier of evidence: bank records, fake documents, photos of Carmen with multiple men, testimony from her real family members who admitted they'd been paid to play along with her stories. We contacted the New Zealand police and were able to warn Carmen's current target before he lost everything. The man, a sweet 62-year-old, named Peter, who recently lost his wife to cancer, was devastated but grateful. She seemed so genuine, he said over video call. She listened to me talk about my grief, made me feel alive again. That's what they do, I told him. They're professionals. Peter helped us build a stronger case. With his cooperation, we were able to get Carmen arrested for fraud and immigration violations. She was sentenced to 3 years in Philippine prison. I didn't feel satisfaction when I heard the news. Mostly I felt sad. Sad for all the lives she damaged, including her own. But I also felt something else. Purpose. Thomas and Peter and I started a website to document romance scams targeting Western men in Southeast Asia. We shared our stories, posted warnings about known scams, and created resources for men who suspected they were being targeted. The response was overwhelming. We heard from hundreds of men who had similar experiences, and dozens more who'd been saved from using their savings because they found our warnings in time. I probably saved my life, wrote one man from Texas. I was about to send my entire retirement fund to a woman in Manila. Your story made me realize I was being played. 3 years after my divorce, I'm in a much better place. Financially, I've recovered about half of what I lost. Emotionally, I'm stronger than I've ever been. I even started dating again, carefully, slowly, with my eyes wide open. I met Sarah, a divorced nurse from Calgary, through mutual friends. She's nothing like Carmen. She's independent, honest, and she actually pays for her own coffee when we go out. I like that you're cautious, Sarah told me on our 4th date. It shows you've learned from your experiences without becoming bitter. We've been together for 8 months now. It's different this time. Built on friendship first, with no rushing, no desperate need to rescue or be rescued. Just 2 adults who enjoy each other's company and are building something real together. Last month I got a message that surprised me. It was from Carmen. She was being released from prison and wanted to make amends for what she'd done. I know I hurt you, the letter read. Prison gave me time to think about my choices, want to pay back what I took. Part of me wanted to ignore it, but Dr. Martinez encouraged me to respond, if only for my own closure. I wrote back, Carmen, I don't need your money. What I needed was honesty, and that's something you can't give retroactively. But I hope you find a way to make an honest living and stop hurting people. I never heard back from her. Sometimes people ask me if I regret going to the Philippines, if I wish I'd never met Carmen. The answer is complicated. I regret the financial loss, the wasted years, the pain I caused my family and friends who tried to warn me. I regret how long I ignored the red flags, how desperately I wanted to believe in something that was never real. But I don't regret everything. The experience taught me lessons I couldn't have learned any other way. It showed me that I'm stronger than I thought, that I can survive betrayal. It connected me with other survivors who've become genuine friends. Most importantly, it taught me the difference between being needed and being loved. Carmen needed my love. Sarah loves me for who I am, flaws, scars, and all. The website Thomas, Peter, and I created is still active. We've helped prevent hundreds of men from falling into similar traps. We work with law enforcement agencies across multiple countries to track down and prosecute romance scams. It doesn't undo what happened to us, but it gives our pain purpose. Looking back now, I can see how perfectly Carmen played her role. The shy hotel worker, the devoted daughter, the grateful wife. Every detail was calculated to appeal to my specific vulnerabilities. She studied me like a predator studies prey, learning exactly which emotional buttons to push and when to push. Then, but here's what Carmen didn't count on: resilience.
Completely surrounded by new homes in this neighborhood. You'd almost miss it. Completely surrounded by new homes in this neighborhood. You'd almost miss it. But this is the first and only estate that was here decades before everyone else moved in. Now abandoned, with working power and everything left behind, including a Mercedes built around what looks like the 1980s. This massive estate was owned circumstances, they began to use the whole nuts. It is now eternally titled an immigration laws. South Asians began to move in, and new homes began to tear up as once flat homes. The father watched his neighbors sell out their floods, and they were now surrounded by development and a new community. It was very different from the previous one. In 2020, her father passed away. It was just his wife now, completely alone. Her friends and neighbors she knew for decades had been gone, and her family had grown up. There was not much left to form their lives. One day, she packed her bags and left, leaving everything behind. What's up, guys? Today we're at this huge residential in a big subdivision here. Also, tell you the most for the homes.